Hey there, how you doing? Let's talk about a game called Brotato. After the massive success of Vampire Survivors, there was a rush of new games following that bullet hell style formula. From 20 Minutes Till Dawn to Halls of Torment, it was quickly established that this was a genre people were interested in, a genre they needed more of. So, not long after came Brotato. Developed and published by Blobfish, an indie studio who started with their first game back in 2020, their portfolio now sporting 3 games, each doing pretty successfully. The first even seemed to be an early version of what would later become Brotato, which was called The Lost Potato. I'm starting to see a trend here. With the release of Brotato, though, we really can't find room to judge their strange infatuation with potatoes. I mean, just look at this roster. Look at them. I've never thought of potatoes this way. Where am I? Who are you? Oh yeah, I'm making a video. Should probably cut that part out. So, how does this roguish bullet hell genre work? Well, in Brotato's case, it functions like this. You open the game, press start, and select a potato from the delicious roster. Each potato giving different benefits and or negatives. Next, you get to pick from a decent selection of unique and varied weapons to start with, ranging from planks of explosive wood and wands of horrific power. You are then thrown into your first round. Your potato will auto-shoot or smack at the closest enemy to you, and you only control the walking portion of the game. Now, you might think that this sounds boring. I certainly was worried it would be, but it is not. Trust me. There is actually a surprising amount of strategy involved with just the movement in this game. You have to dodge bullets, enemies that zip around like Sonic on 30 snorts of flour, as well as attempting to pick up as much of the cash dead enemies leave behind as possible. Because each dollar you don't snatch goes into a ×2 fund, which makes it so that on your next run, the first chunks of cash you collect give double the money. So if you want the money now, you have to collect that yummy cash. So what do you do with this cash? Here comes the core of this game's fun. The storefront in the game pops up in between each round of combat and has a massive and varied selection of 2 different genres of things to buy, weapons and items. Items give different buffs and abilities, some having negatives built into them. For example, one of my favorites, Riposte, or Riposte, something like that, allows you to deal a flat damage to each enemy that lands a hit on you. That flat damage goes up based on if you get items that buff your damage stat, which fuck, that's right. I haven't mentioned the massive stat wall over there. His name is Jerry. Each of these stats function pretty much as you'd expect if you've played video games for any period of time. Each one affects your gameplay in different ways, be it speed, health regen, lifesteal, you know the drill. Your items and weapons each can upgrade these stats, but they often come with drawbacks in different areas, meaning you can either whole hog range damage and get every ability that promotes it, likely to the detriment of melee damage, or you can attempt to strike a healthy balance with careful planning. It's really well done, each buff and weapon intricately affecting each other in an incredibly fun way that forces you to think about how you build your sexy potato warrior of death. Not to mention it pulls a Risk of Rain and shows your items and weapons on your character, leading you to eventually look like some form of eldritch beast. Isn't he beautiful? So now that you have a strong understanding of the game's gameplay and systems, why should you play this? First off, potatoes, but more seriously, you can play this game one-handed for obvious reasons. Okay, for seriously serious this time. It has an incredibly well-developed system of unique and varied weapons and buffs, leading to an incredibly satisfying sense of progression. The sheer vastness of the roster that allows for entirely different playstyles, builds, and starting weapons that you just unlock as you go just allows for so much goddamn replayability. And only adding to that replayability, this game has Steam Workshop support already. You can literally play as Steve Harvey if you really wanted to. Trust me, and the other 40,000 people who got this game an overwhelmingly positive on Steam, it's an absolute blast. And only 5 doubloons. 5 goddamn doubloons. That is less than a Dutch Brothers coffee. Thank you so very much for watching. If you enjoy watching potatoes get turned into french fries as their little potato friends watch, give that like button a lovely smack. And if you'd like to see more content like this, do give that subscribe button a good old waffle fry snatch and smack. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what that sentence was whatsoever. But most importantly, have a goddamn wonderful day. and don't die. Alright, movie review time. But it's a book review this time. That's right, I'm gonna talk about a book because I'm a book nerd. Huh, bet you never saw that coming. I'm recommending you the most basic of recommendations if you like fantasy at this point, and that's The Way of Kings from Brandon Sanderson's current series, The Stormlight Archive. I have been a fan of his books since Elantris, and I was kind of slacking for a while. I stopped reading pretty much altogether in the last couple years, but I've been trying to get back into it. And Sanderson's Way of Kings has been an absolute treat to read, or more accurately, listen to on Audible. This isn't an ad for Audible, obviously, and Sanderson has his books available wherever you find your audiobooks, so don't feel tied to what I use. So truly, if you enjoy reading, or even if you don't, and you want a good fantastical read, or have somebody read it to you through audiobook style, give this one a look. Also, the guy who reads it, his voice is absolutely gorgeous, so there's that too. Alright, now go have a good day. Mwah.